everyone, and welcome to AMC Mailbag, the all mailbag show here on AMC Movie News, where all we do is take your questions. I'm Ashley Mova, and if you've got a question that you want answered on air, you can send it over anytime to amcmovietalk@gmail.com. You could get it answered on Mailbag or Movie Talk, and sitting with me to answer those questions is the editor-in-chief of AMC Movie News, John Campea. John, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How you doing, everybody? So glad to do another episode of Mailbag with you.
Me too.
All right, let's get started.
Let's do this. First question comes from Andrew Curtis, and they write, my question is regarding the future of Star Trek. Star Trek is one of my favorite franchises, both on TV and film for years, and I'm curious to where Paramount will take the franchise. Now that the third film, marking the 50th anniversary, is coming up next year, where does this alternative reality series go? Could they do 3 more films and do something similar to the original 6 movies, where they had a connected story without it being forced, mainly referring to Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, The Voyage Home, and The Undiscovered Country? I personally feel that Star Trek wouldn't work with spin-offs or stories from different perspectives because I feel the franchise is more about the captain's relationship with their crew and the drive for exploration.
Well, I mean, I really enjoy. I'm one of these guys who I know there are people who don't appreciate the J.J. Abrams Star Trek universe. I know there are some people who don't appreciate it, and that's cool and that's fair. I think you're crazy, but it's totally fair. I think what J.J. Abrams has done with the Star Trek universe and this incarnation of it was really quite smart. I was a Star Trek doubter for a long time. I said, this is a dead franchise. It's dead. You have to do something to reinvigorate it, because just doing the same thing ain't going to cut it anymore. And JJ did something totally different and totally new and came up with a great story hook. And I think the movies are engaging and they're fun and they're entertaining. And, do they have the deep socio-political commentary that, the original TV series did? No, but you don't have to. You don't just have to be what the TV series was. You can be your incarnation of it. And the incarnation they created, in my opinion at any rate, is very fun, very entertaining, and it makes me look forward to going to the movie theater. Now, you bring up a great storyline in the original Star Trek movies universe with Search for Spock, Voyage Home, Undiscovered Country, that it really is, it's like a trilogy. It's its own trilogy of films within the larger Star Trek franchise. And it's a great trilogy within that. The second J.J. Abrams Star Trek film, I mean, it is clearly a sequel to the original because they do make reference to things that happened in the first one, but it's not one connected story. So what should they do moving forward? Look, either will work. You could do completely episodic episodes, or you could do a continuation story. And either would be fine, and I'm up for fine. If it were up to me, and everybody thank goodness that it's not, but if it were up to me, I would go episodic. I think episodic, which is basically its own isolated movie that acknowledges the existence of the other ones, and clearly this is a timeline, but doesn't have one through thread story, right? I would go episodic because the first 2 have been episodic and they've worked really well. I think it's a formula that works for them. But if they go the other way, I'm totally cool with that too.
Do you think if they go the episodic route that it would be smart and kind of interesting to choose a new director every time they do a new film?
I don't think you have to do a new director every time, but I think it would be a pretty good idea. Like, keep it fresh. Because, if you're going episodic, you want each film to clearly be in the same universe, but you want it to have its own personality. You want it to have its own its own signature, if you will. And I think replacing directors every time would be a great idea. Maybe keep one on for 2 films in a row, but then I would keep switching up. That's just the way I like when they do things.
Makes sense. Paul Volpe writes, hey there, John and his amazing friends, and a bro fist to all you.
A bro fist.
Bro fist. I had a question about the MCU. I heard today on your show about the 3rd Avengers trailer and was like, meh. I realized that I was not excited for this film at all, when only 2 weeks ago I was super stoked. I don't know what happened, but at some point I got so tired of waiting that I just shut off my enthusiasm for the film. It comes out in 2 months and no one I know is talking about it. Has it been too long for people to be excited, or does this help people walk into the sequel as if it were a fresh film?
Well, maybe nobody is talking about it. I know a lot of people who are talking about it, but you raise a great issue. On yesterday's mailbag, somebody wrote in and asked us about Mission Impossible 5. And they said hey, it's 5 months, only 5 months till the movie comes out and there's no trailer yet. Why not? This is why not. Is because I think you raise the potential to just fatigue people on a property before it ever comes out. I mean, and look, the Age of Ultron stuff hasn't even been running all that long, but the first trailer came out 6 months before, 5 or 6 months before, the movie was ever going to drop. That's a long time to be popping trailers and talking about it. You want to be strategic with this stuff and plan it so you can build a wave of momentum that hits its crescendo when the movie comes out. You start putting all this marketing, everything too far out in advance, you're going to get people who get excited and then lose interest. And then maybe you'll get them excited with the next trailer again, then they lose interest again. Why go through that roller coaster? I do not understand this thought process that's out there right now that, the movie comes out in 8 months. We need to have a trailer now. I don't get that mentality. I just don't get it. I mean, more power to you. If that's the way you feel, that's cool. That's the part of being a film fan. But I mean, like a lot of people, like, Justice League, right? Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice is like a year away. And there are already people like writing to me and saying, what's wrong with the movie? What do you think's wrong with the project, John, that they don't have any trailers yet? It's a year away. And I think what we're seeing in this question is like, there are people out there who are like, got super stoked for Avengers because they started the ad campaign and then they stayed excited for months. But now we're still months away. And at some point, people just get enthusiasm fatigue. Look, I guarantee you that when Avengers 2 comes out, your enthusiasm will return. And you're going to be, if you were ever excited for it in the first place. Some people, that's not for them and that's fine. But if you're into the Avengers and the comic book movies and stuff like that, and you were excited and now you're fatigued on it, you'll get excited again. But it just drives home that point that I think when you do these ad campaigns that are way too long, look, the people who are excited about the movie, they're not going to suddenly not be excited because you don't release the first trailer until 12 weeks out. They're still going to be there. They're going to be super stoked. They're going to be super excited. And the people who may not naturally want to go to your movie, you want to start launching your trailers when you're within striking distance, not in the same week, not even necessarily in the same month, but at least within striking distance that people go, that looks interesting. I think I'll go see it. When's it coming out? In like 7 weeks, in 8 weeks, or not for another 3 months, or keep it on my radar. Or, that looks interesting. When's it come out? Next year? Okay. And then they check out. And then maybe when you're 4 months out and you put out another good trailer, then they'll get interested again. That just drives home the point that I do not see the point of these ad campaigns. Now, somebody will say to me, but John, as fans, let's talk about Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. As fans, we want to see those trailers. Okay, that's fair. That's fair that for us fans, that, hey, maybe release a little something just to give us fans a taste. But if that's true, and I'm all for it, then you're acknowledging that it's not really doing anything for the marketing of the film. You're not doing anything for it at all. Like I said, you're running the risk of building that wave of hype and then hitting your crescendo too soon. We all know a little bit about, premature crescendo, right? I'm just saying, am I right? All right. Anyway, so I'm just saying that you just want to be careful that you want to space this stuff out because you get guys like this who are like, hey, I was excited. Now I'm not so excited. You've heard that before, right?
Something like that. Okay. So what would you say is, my gosh, now I don't even want to use phrases. What would you say is the sweet spot for like
You should see Dennis's face.
Gosh.
Dennis's face.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm blushing. I don't know. So what would you say is the perfect timing for, let's say, you guys stop. Lack of marketing and
what's that zone? Where's that time frame? What's the time
like 3
frame?
months?
I would, depending how big the movie is. John Wick released its first trailer 1 month out. And I think it did as well as it was going to do. I think that was the right time for them to release the John Wick trailer for John Wick. For a movie like Mission Impossible 5, I'd say 3 to 5 months, from 12 to 16 weeks is good. For a massive, massive film, maybe I would go as far out as like 5 months. 6 months to me is stretching it. It just doesn't serve a point. There's no point in doing it.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion. Hey, look, I know a lot of you guys disagree, and that's the great things about this business, man. We get to have our different opinions about it. So kudos to you if you feel differently.
Thomas Larson writes, Senior Vice President of Productions for Columbia Pictures, Devon Franklin, has just tweeted a picture of He-Man's Battlecat. What do you think of this picture, and do you think Columbia has the money to back up this massive CGI project, Masters of the Universe?
Well, I don't know that the film is going. You can see the that Battlecat engine. We actually brought that up on Movie Talk earlier this week. It's just a terrific picture. Look, once again, let me just say again what I said on Movie Talk the other day. It's just a picture, okay? There were some pictures from Phantom Menace that looked awesome. There's some pictures in Transformers 4 that looked awesome. It means nothing. So if you hate the picture, don't worry about it. It's just a picture. If you love the picture, don't get too worked up. It's just a picture. But damn, that's a good picture. That looks gritty and just, that looks like Battlecat. If I envision what a real Battlecat would look like, that's what it would look like. And I'm super excited about it. Does Columbia Pictures have the finance to do this? Well, remember, Columbia is a subsidiary of Sony Pictures. They got the money. They can do whatever. Remember, and I don't think this is going to be a CGI movie. This is going to be a live action movie with CGI elements, much like a lot of other adventure films and stuff like that. So is the money there? Yes. How expensive? I don't think you're going to see this movie be a $200 million movie. They're going to do Masters of the Universe probably for around the $100 million mark, which I think is big for them. And I think that's the right spot for it too. And trust me, $100 million can go a long way. When you spend the money right and you got the right visual effects people. I mean, District 9, Dennis, fact checker Dennis, can you look up the budget for District 9? Okay. What the production budget on District 9 was? Because I just remember that, District 9 was nominated for a Visual Effects Academy Award that year. And it is one of the most breathtaking visual effect movies that you had seen in a while, like give or take a year on either side of that film. And it was made very cheaply.
The production budget was $30 million.
$30 million for District 9. So if you can make District 9 for $30 million, you can make a very good-looking He-Man Masters of the Universe movie for $100. And they might even come in a little bit lower. They might go for $90 or something like that. But that being said, to answer your question, yes, Columbia Pictures, subsidiary of Sony Pictures, does have the money to make this film, and it's a great looking picture.
I thought it kind of looked scary. I'm not gonna lie.
His name is Battlecat.
I know, but just
I'm sorry, Ashley. Did you want Battle Kitten?
I thought he looked a little cuter. Like I was picturing cuter, and then this picture was really intense.
Did you want Huggy Time Pussycat?
A little bit.
You wanted? This is Battlecat, damn it.
You got Battlecat.
Battlecat. We got Battlecat. Supposed to intimidate, drive fear, feline fear, into your heart. That's right.
Johan L writes, "Hey guys, been a huge supporter since the beginning. My question is more of a feedback that might be cool to consider. We know that sometimes trailers come out after you've written the show notes, but you guys watch the trailers before the show so you can comment on them. But why not do live trailer reactions where, if it's possible, Dennis gets it up on the screens and you guys watch a trailer for the first time? I think it would be cool to see how you guys react to new trailers. Thanks, #AMC forever."
You're not the first person to ask us this. I remember we thought about it. I remember when the first Star Wars trailer was coming out. Dennis, you came with me down to Century City, right?
No, I was gone.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were gone. That's right. So it was me, Schnapp,
and Christian, maybe.
Christian, our friend Kevin went with us, and there were a few of us who went down. Anne came too, and we watched the trailer. But I remember there were some discussions prior to that about maybe we should just watch it together and then shoot ourselves as we're watching it. Now, at the time, that wasn't feasible because it was first going to show in theaters and was going to go online later. I got really mad at Disney because Disney ended up putting it online like 2 hours before it was showing in theaters. So I was really mad about that. I'm not really mad. I was put off by it. I mean, I was disappointed that they did it that way. But we've talked about doing it, but I just don't know pragmatically. Look, we run into a couple of problems. Number one, we can't, I have a policy against showing trailers on the show because YouTube is a very fickle, weird thing. And if we put even a trailer up on this screen, if we can go to a wide shot here, if we put a trailer up on this screen, the YouTube algorithms will say, hey, there's copywritten content on their show and our YouTube video will get a big strike and get pulled down. I'm just really worried about that. So then, if we just put the screen in front of us, like let's say we had this MacBook here, I'll move so you can see it. This MacBook here, right? And this is the MacBook we have, and we're going to show on this trailer, and we're going to put me, Schnepp, and Dennis sitting around in a circle watching it. Then for 2 minutes, you're going to be watching just us going. I mean, I just don't know if it would be very entertaining.
That's a thing, though. On YouTube, have you seen that? And they kind of have views.
Oh, my goodness. They're one of the greatest things. This video is the reason why the internet was created. There's this video of this woman who is a Twilight fan. Have you seen this one?
I have not seen that one.
It's the best thing ever. It's this one. I'm sure it's got millions of views, so I'm sure a lot of you know which one I'm talking about. But it was for the last Twilight film, right? And it was the first trailer for the last Twilight film. And this girl who's a massive Twilight fan, first of all, her reaction video is like
I think I might have
10 minutes of thanking all the people who made Twilight, right? I want to thank Robert Pattinson, and she's from England. She's got this accent, right? And I just want to thank all the directors who worked on in these films. And she's already crying before the trailer, and she goes, and even before she hits play, she's like, okay, I'm getting ready to play, and she's crying. She goes, this is going to be the last time I watch a Twilight trailer for the first time, and she's crying, and I'm like, and while you think you want to laugh at this woman, I was overjoyed for her. I will tell you what, there's some people who mock her online, all that kind of stuff. There's some people in this crew who mock her. To me, like, Dennis is over there doing the double thumbs to himself. There are people out there who do that, but I'm telling you, to me, I was moved that movies can elicit such emotion from people. I think that that's wonderful, but then she's watching the trailer and she's like, oh my God,
Oh my God! Oh my God!
and then you hear this line in the trailer. I can't remember exactly, but there's this one female character who's talking to, what's their Illuminati? The name of the High Vampire Council. I can't remember. It's not the Illuminati. Volturi, who's talking. There's this girl talking to the Volturi, and she goes, "The Cullens have done something horrible," and then so you hear that in the trailer, right? And the girl who's watching this going, "No, they haven't, you bitch!" And she's yelling and she's crying, and things are going all over the place. It was amazing, and then there's this follow-up video where the producers were so moved
Oh my gosh, I did not know that.
that they flew her and her daughter. She has like a 7-year-old daughter who, by the way, is like one of the cutest, most adorable little things you've ever seen. So they flew her and her daughter from England to Hollywood for the world premiere. I was actually at the world premiere. Me and Ann got invited to, and we could went in and watch it, but she got to go there. She camped out overnight on the line like a lot of other people did. And then as the stars went by, I remember like Robert Pattinson went into the crowd, found her specifically,
Aww.
gave her a hug, met her daughter.
That's so cute.
And I'm telling you, I'm watching this, and movies are awesome. Movies are awesome. That was the highlight of that woman's life.
Yeah.
And the joy on her face and her little daughter's face, who was just beaming at the same time. I loved it. So anyway, me and the rest of the movie crew guys, I show that video one day as we're doing movie talk to a bunch of the guys. And we started talking, like, maybe we should do reaction videos. But the funny, you don't know when a trailer's going to drop. And like, what do? Do I, like, a trailer drop and go, okay, I can't watch it. Hey, Christian, yes, John, go over to my place right now. We're going to watch the trailer for whatever. And he's going to drop. It's difficult to do. Dennis, we haven't talked about this. Would you consider doing reaction videos to trailer, getting us all to watch a trailer for the first time like that and shooting it?
Only if we get to over exaggerate our reactions. Only if we go, oh my God, then we can do them.
Yeah.
One of you has an accent.
Otherwise, you have to do it with an English accent, of
obviously.
course. Otherwise, I think it would be tough for us to do, but I do enjoy watching. Who knows? Maybe we'll do it at some point.
Yeah.
You know, what's a movie? What would be a movie that's coming out like sometime soon? I mean, this first Star Wars one's already dropped, so that's off the books. Maybe Batman versus Superman. Maybe that's one we do. Maybe we plan. We'll talk to our Warner Brothers people and just make sure we know when Batman versus. Let's do that. You know what? We'll do that as long as we don't miss it. We'll do that. We'll do a Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice trailer reaction video.
You heard it
I don't
here
know that we'll
first.
do it on the show because then we'd have to coordinate it, watching it for the first time when we're recording the show. But we'll do a video for that. We'll plan it.
I hope that you cry.
I hope I cry too.
Rishi Yerman writes, "Hi guys, I just wanted to know what the box office results for Focus means for the upcoming Suicide Squad. Both movies have the same leads and studio, so is it a bad sign that Focus only pulled in 19 million? Thanks."
Nah, not honestly. If I'm a studio right now, I'm not worrying about that at all. If I'm Warner Brothers, I'm not worried about that at all. If this was 1993 or 1997, when how many people go to see a movie was more largely dependent on who was in the movie, maybe then I'd be a little more worried. But star power is not a big draw anymore. It's just not the big thing. And so the lack of people going to see Focus with Will Smith and Margot Robbie, I'm not all that concerned about it. Number one, the main reason, in my opinion, that Focus did, I mean, remember, Focus was number one at the box office, but right, 18 million is not great on the Will Smith career opening weekend numbers, right? 18 million is not great. So I'm going to use the word fail, although, remember, it was number one at the box office, made $18 million. That's not so bad, but the reason Focus failed on its opening weekend was not because Will Smith's in it, although, there might still be a little bit of feeling of After Earth in there. It was not because Margot Robbie's in it, even though she's not a household name yet. They were awful trailers. They did a terrible job marketing that film.
Yeah.
Awful. I watched 3 trailers for that movie. I before going in to watch it, I could still not tell you at all what that movie was about.
Yeah.
All I know is that Will Smith's in it and Margot Robbie's in it and they're con artists.
Yeah.
That's it. I knew nothing about the film. There was nothing in that marketing to reach out and grab me and make me get excited about it. Not a thing. And so that movie, I think I predicted 22 million, so I overshot. I mean, I think a lot of us knew this movie wasn't going to do big business because it was a terrible marketing campaign. The studio screwed itself on that one. Now, not that it's a great movie. I actually thought Focus was okay. And I think it deserved better than 18 million. But with that marketing campaign they did, where you just put out these bland, nondescript, nothing revealed at all. And remember, folks, I'm not talking about revealing everything, but there's a balance somewhere between showing you nothing and showing you too much. There's a balance in there. There's a middle ground. And they were just way over here on the absolutely show you nothing thing, except, look, folks, Will Smith. Woo, all the people will come out now. Sorry, it ain't 1997 anymore. That's not the way it works. So if I'm Warner Brothers, I'm looking at the box office Focus. I'm wishing it did great. So that, like, if I'm Warner Brothers head, I'm wishing it did great. So more and more people were watching Will Smith and Margot Robbie, so that they'll be even more excited to see them in another movie. But I'm not worried at all by the fact, because Warner Brothers knows they're going to market Suicide Squad a hell of a lot better than Focus was marketed. So I don't think they're worried.
And on the other hand, do you think that Warner Brothers could be happy that they worked together before, and now that they've kind of created this chemistry? And being in Suicide Squad, do you think that the chemistry will transfer over?
Unless they started to hate each other because they're working together. I mean, I'm always worried about that. It's never a bad thing when you get 2 actors working together so they know each other and they can learn to play off each other a little bit better. Yeah, I think you're right. I think if I'm Warner Bros., I'm like, hey, cool. They're working together. They're working out some of those chemistry issues. So when they bring it over into Suicide Squad, they're already familiar with how each other works, and maybe they'll be able to play off each other better.
Fujishiro Koki writes, do you think the Wachowskis could do a DC superhero movie in the future, considering their long-term relationship with Warner Brothers? I think they are pretty underrated in regards to creating amazing visual effects and action scenes. Since in most people's eyes, they haven't made a good movie besides The Matrix, do you think this is a good idea?
Nope. No, I'm officially over the Wachowski siblings. I'm officially over them. Look, I like The Matrix as much as everybody. I liked The Matrix 2 more than most people. Even I acknowledge I tried to be a fan of it, but Matrix 3 is no good. But I'm a bigger fan of Matrix 2 than most people are. However, Speed Racer, Cloud Atlas, and my dear God, Jupiter Ascending, my worst movie-going experience since Transformers 4. That movie is just wretchedly awful, like comedically bad. I mean, some people like it, and that's awesome. Best thing about movies, but I thought they were terrible. Now, they did write, Dennis, help me out here. They did write V for Vendetta, right? I think the Wachowskis wrote, So look that up and let me know that. In which case,
I had no idea she looked like that, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That is not how I pictured her at all.
I really like her look.
I love that.
Like,
but I
you'll recognize her again in a minute. Like the next time you see her, you'll totally recognize her, right? So I believe they wrote V for Vendetta.
Yeah, they did.
They did. So they wrote V for Vendetta, which I think the script of V for Vendetta was really good. But yeah, Jupiter Ascending, Speed Racer, Cloud Atlas. I'm done. Now, you're right. They have a knack of making visually stunning stuff. But that only gets you so far. If you don't have good characters and good narrative and good dialogue to drive it and a good plot to drive it, visual effects are just visual noise. Great visual effects in an entertaining, fun movie with good narrative, good dialogue, some funny stuff, some dramatic stuff, whatever. When it mixes in, then it becomes a visual feast. Otherwise, it's just visual noise. And that's what I found with a lot of the Wachowskis. Now, there are people out there who absolutely love the Wachowskis. I know a lot of very smart people who really like Cloud Atlas. Cloud Atlas is a very divisive film. Some people totally hate it. I fall on that side. I don't really like it at all. But a lot of people think it's like hidden brilliance. And that's cool. You're not going to find that divide with Jupiter Ascending. It's just a bad movie. And Speed Racer generally acknowledged is pretty bad, but it has its fans. So no, I have no interest in seeing them direct a Warner Brothers DC comic book film at all. I think DC Comics and Warner Brothers has to be very particular about who they get to direct their films. And because, you're way behind Marvel right now. And so I think they need better directors than that. And I hope they get better directors than that.
A lot of people think that in Hollywood, it's who you know. And with their connections, you don't think that, let's say if they want to Warner Brothers and they're like, we want to direct this new superhero movie, that they would say no.
Let's put it this way. I know you.
Yeah.
And I love you. I think
Can I direct a superhero movie?
I think Ashley is just awesome. And if Ashley comes to me and says, hey, can I have lunch with you? I'm going to say yes, because you're awesome and we know each other. Yeah. Let's go have lunch. If she says, hey, John, can you make a call to this guy that you know that I'm trying to get in with? I'll say yes, because I know you and I like you. You come to me and say, hey, John, can I have $120 million so I can make a movie when I don't think you're very good at making movies? No, I don't care how well I know you. I don't care how cool I think you are. You want $120 million of my dollars to make a movie when the last bunch of movies you made were terrible? And trust me, I've watched her home movies. Not very good. Not very
Not
good.
On Kim Kardashian level or anything.
That's not what I was talking about, but
you said home movies.
You had to go there. Okay, so I just no. Connections only get you so far. But at some point, business becomes business. And business says, you've been making movies that are losing money, and especially Jupiter Ascending, and are bad, and people don't want to see. Why would I like you? Do I like the $80 million that I'll lose if I give to you more? I like the $80 million more. So yeah, that's the way I see it.
Ryan Ellertson writes, big fan of the show and congrats on the new studio. My question is, do you think Chris Pratt can handle this huge workload? He is now a part of 3 huge movie franchises with Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy, Jurassic World. I'm assuming they are going to try to make multiple movies out of the new Jurassic Park franchise and Indiana Jones. Has any other actor been a part of so many movie franchises at the same time? Can we have too much Chris Pratt?
Hey, Dennis, just a quick thing. Look up for me, if you don't mind, in the last 3 years, how many movies Samuel L. Jackson has done, including ones he's got in production right now, So he looks that up. Well, I mean, look, it's not common that you get an actor involved in several big franchises at once, but Chris Pratt isn't even the only one right now. I mean, look at Hawkeye. What's that?
Jeremy Renner.
Right, Jeremy Renner. So look at Jeremy Renner. He's in the Bourne franchise. He's in the Mission Impossible franchise. He's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So he's got 3 really big ones going right now. And there are others that he's rumored for. I mean, so that can happen in this day and age. But remember, not all actors only do like 1 movie a year. A lot of working actors are in multiple films a year. Remember, we were talking about this earlier that, some people think, it takes, when an actor's working on a movie, they're working on it for like a year. It's like, no, actually, a lot of movies, an actor is there on set for maybe 2.5 months. So, I mean, an actor can shoot 5 movies in a year. They can do it. And they can even shoot multiple movies at the same time if they work out the schedules right. Like, okay, you need me shooting on this movie for 2 weeks, but then you can shoot scenes for 2 weeks that my character isn't in. Well, I'll get on a plane, I'll fly to New York, and I'll shoot this other movie where they need me on set for 2 weeks there, and then when they break, I'll come back. And there are lots of actors who do that. So for Chris Pratt to be in 3 franchises, it's not like we're talking about 4 movies every year or 5 movies every year. We're talking about 3 franchises that could be separated by 1, 2, or 3 years each, right? So I know, Des, were you able to find out how many? Samuel Jackson.
Well,
3
Sam
years.
Jackson in 2014, he had 6 movies. So
just 6 in 2014. Yeah. So don't you worry about Chris Pratt getting overworked. These just happen to be big movies. And granted, a Jurassic Park film will probably shoot a little bit longer. But if I understood it right, I don't think This Jurassic World, I don't think shot more than like 15 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I actually think it was a fairly quick shoot. For now, the post-production and the editing and all that stuff, visual effects, that took a long time, and they're still working on it to this day. But yeah, don't worry about him having too many franchises. He'll be just fine.
And you can never get enough of Chris Pratt.
I love Chris Pratt.
I mean, who doesn't?
I'm going to tell you this little story. I might have told the story before, I'm not sure. But I first met Chris Pratt at the junket for... what was the name of that 80s movie? Take Me Home Tonight. I first met him on the set of Take Me Home Tonight. And the way we met was that I was leaving. The junket was actually in this house up in the hills of Malibu.
Ooh, awesome.
And I'm leaving and he's coming in the door at the same time. And he wasn't a big star yet, but I recognize him. And he bumps into me. And I'm like, oh, dude, so sorry. He goes, no, my fault. You totally just right now, just punch me in the face. Just punch me in the face right now. And I'm like,
You were this close to punching Chris Pratt.
oh, no. I thought it was hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
the dude was really funny. And then I didn't talk to him again until him and Kevin Feige and James Gunn came into our Movie Talk studios and to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, a movie that still a lot of people didn't know anything about, but they came in. He hung out with us for like 2 hours that night. He was so great and so wonderful. He hung out with me and Ann too, and Ann is a massive fan of Parks and Recreation. She loves Andy Dwyer. I mean, she loves him. So she almost cries when he's on screen on Parks and Rec. She almost cries with happiness, right? And we got to meet him, and he was so great and so wonderful. I wanted one of our Sons of AMC shirts, and he said, I'm going to take this motorcycle riding tomorrow and stuff like that. And he was just wonderful. Now, I didn't see him again until the Guardians of the Galaxy junket. This is about 3 months later, right? And you think with these Hollywood type people that, they meet 1,000 people a day, especially journalists, right? And they'll be really nice to you, but tomorrow they won't remember who you are. That's not a negative thing on them. That's just the reality of having to meet so many of these people. So it's 3 months later, and I go walking into the room to do my interview with Chris Pratt. And Chris Pratt's like, hey, John! Like in his way, it's like, hey, yeah, he goes, yeah. I said, you remember? He goes, yeah, we did the thing at your studio talking about Guardians a few months ago. I'm like, yeah, man. And then he goes, and your wife was there. He looked first, I thought for a second, Ann, how's Ann doing?
Oh.
So I get out of my interview with him, and I instantly have to pull up my phone. And I text Ann, no kidding, Chris Pratt remembers you. And the first thing he asked me was how you're doing when I came in.
Aww.
3 seconds later, my phone beeps, and it's Ann in capital letters with all exclamation marks. WTF. And then again, like 2 seconds later, WTF. WTF.
So amazing.
That's how cool Chris Pratt is. He is, what you see is what you, then I got to see him and talk to him again at the Guardians premiere. It's the same thing. He's a what you see is what you get kind of guy. He's super grounded, really down to earth. Look up this video on YouTube where he talks about when he was first in LA living in a van. And he lived in a van by the river. I mean, literally, that was him. That's what he did, right? And it's a YouTube video, him talking about living in a van, and he was on a radio show just talking about it, right? And he talked about how, man, I would listen to what I think was an Eminem album, like one of the earliest Eminem albums. He goes, man, I'm telling you, I just listened. I had one album, it was like the Eminem album, and I just listened to it all the time. He goes, I still to this day, I can remember all the lyrics. And then the DJ challenges him. He goes,
oh my
really?
gosh.
Let's hear it. Takes his hand and starts going, blah, 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 and he starts rapping Eminem like this whole entire song. And the DJs are howling, and he still keeps going for like a minute and a half. He's just rapping this Eminem song. It's like, that's Chris Pratt. And he's the type of guy that once you meet him, you cannot help but be in love with him, and you will cheer for him. For the rest of his career, you will cheer for him. And because I just can't think of a guy right now who deserves it more in this business than he does.
Now I like him even more.
Yep.
Miles Goldman writes, I'm a huge fan of the AMC Movie Talk show, and I watch it daily.
Thank you.
My question is regarding the upcoming Entourage movie. Do you guys think it will get a wide release and bomb? Will it be like Sex and the City and be huge? Or will it be like Veronica Mars and get a VOD/limited release?
Well, it ain't Veronica Mars. I can assure you Entourage is getting a wide release. And will it bomb? No, this movie will not bomb. Now, this is not going to be a $100 million opening weekend film, but nor was it made to be a $100 million opening weekend film. This film will probably make, I'm just guessing here, I could be way off, but I'm just guessing, like $30 million opening weekend, and that will be good. That will be a success. This movie will make money. It won't be Sex and the City, I don't believe, but hey, kudos if it is. But it certainly will not bomb. Speaking of that movie, the trailers, if you've watched the trailers for it, one of the main characters in the trailer, I'm sure she will not be a main character in the movie, but one of the main characters in the trailer, because she's in it a lot, is UFC champion Ronda Rousey, who is simply the most dominant female human to ever walk the face of the earth. There has never been a woman who can take this woman. Never. And I like all these people who think they know something about MMA who go, "Oh, giant cyborg." Ronda Rousey would eat Cyborg in like 30 seconds or less, okay? That's not even going to be a fair fight. She's just totally dominant. But Dennis and I go watch all the UFC fights. Like we'll usually go one of the bars in town and watch fights, have a bunch of people come with us, and we're really into UFC, MMA, all that kind of stuff. So we're there and we're getting ready for the Ronda Rousey fight, which by the way, she won in 14 seconds. Oh my God. She won her title fight against the only woman in the world that a lot of people thought had a chance against her. It's like, this is the girl. She was an undefeated fighter. She's just a beast, like just a physical beast. And she just beats the crap out of everybody she fought. And everybody's saying, if there's anybody who can pose a threat to Ronda Rousey, it's this girl. Ronda Rousey beat her in 14 seconds. 14 seconds. It was crazy. But I remember before the fight started, we were watching some of the preliminary fights. And I turned to Dennis and we were thinking about Entourage. And I turned to Dennis and I go, you know that the producers of Entourage right now are praying to whatever gods they worship that Ronda Rousey wins this fight.
Oh, yeah.
Because if Ronda Rousey loses this fight, that's going to take a bunch of steam off the movie and what those scenes, how funny those scenes are supposed to be. So they're praying. So the producers of the Entourage movie were very, very happy that night.
Do you think that mostly guys are going to go see the Entourage movie?
Hey man, a lot of women watched Entourage. Yeah. A lot of women, and it's a great appeal type of a show. Look, I was late to the Entourage party. I didn't start watching Entourage until after I moved to LA. And when I started watching it, and I was starting to live in these quasi-Hollywood circles a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very LA show.
It was a very LA show, right? And like some of, the opening credits, they're driving down and you see these landmarks. Like two of the landmarks were literally outside of my window. Because when I first moved to LA, I moved into this apartment on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. Because I was stupid. I thought, I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to live right on Sunset Boulevard. $2,700 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment? Sure. That was stupid. I got out of there pretty quick. But right out my window, you could see a lot of those landmarks and stuff like that. And it is what we call lifestyle porn, right? It's lifestyle porn because a lot of people watched it because they wanted vicariously to live that lifestyle through them and with them. It was the same thing with Sex and the City. It was kind of lifestyle porn that they watched it because they wanted to be a part of that group, And that I often said the same thing about one of my favorite shows that just ended, Sons of Anarchy. It was for a lot of men, it was like lifestyle porn because they wanted that. They wanted to have brotherhood like that. But that's what Entourage is. But it appealed to a lot of women, and a lot of women watch it. So this is going to be one of those movies that I think is going to have, gender-wise at any rate, is going to have a pretty broad appeal. Yeah,
I'm excited to see it.
Me too.
And that was the last question for today, guys. So thank you so much for watching. And just a reminder, lots of great movies being shown in AMC theaters today. So go ahead and head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theaters, showtimes, and ticket information. And if you want a podcast version of this episode, check out the description box below. And make sure you click that subscribe button. Thanks to the guys in the room, Dennis, Jonathan, and Ray. And thanks to this guy, John Campia. John, where can people find you online?
You can find me on all the various social media networks on Facebook and on Twitter. Follow me at John Campia.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Ashley Mova. And I hope everyone's having a lovely weekend. And we will catch you next episode. Bye, guys.